In this movie, I'm going to describe how to create a custom Keynote legend. And we're going to do this using symbols and a record and a worksheet. The advantage of this will be that it's much easier to place these kinds of Keynote labels on the drawing, and you can then edit them using two-way worksheets and print out a legend like this very easily. So just starting from scratch, the first thing we'll need is a record format. So in here I'm going to choose new, and here we're going to choose record format, and let's call it Keynote 1. And in here we are going to want a couple of fields, the prefix and the description. So we'll go prefix, and this will be a text field, and we won't give it any default value, and the next one we want is a description, and again that's text, and we won't give it a default value. So we've created the record, click OK, and you'll now see that under record formats in the resource browser we have Keynote 1. Now the next thing to do is to create a little symbol that will represent the instances of where you have the abbreviations on the drawing. So we'll start with creating a text block and just put some dummy text in here. It doesn't matter what it is. Now we'll format this so that you probably don't want it to be 12 point, maybe it's 10 point or something like that. I've used Arial, you can use any font you want. Horizontal alignment, let's set to center. Vertical alignment, we'll set to center. And then we will also make this into a symbol, which is pretty straightforward. We go modify, create symbol, and we'll call this Keynote symbol. You can call it whatever you like. Plan projection center, we'll turn that off, and leave instance in place. Click OK. Now we might end up putting this or putting these in a folder in a minute. So the next thing we want to do is to link the text in the symbol to this keynote. So we can double click this to edit the symbol, edit the 2D component. We can select the text, and then in the modify menu we can choose link text to record, and we'll choose our keynote record that we created, and the prefix is what we want to link. We click OK, and when we do this, this text block is going to empty itself, but that's okay. And we'll exit the symbol now. So what we have here now is one instance of a symbol, and if we click on the data tab here, you'll see that, and you may have to drag these dividers up here. Sometimes this is right down the bottom and you need to drag this up so that you can see it. So we have our Keynote 1 record format that we created, and we have our two fields here, prefix and description. So let's say this was existing, so we're going to use E hyphen, because that's what we use for existing, and the description will be existing. And you can see that this has now got that E hyphen. So let's make a few more of these. I'm just going to duplicate that and then change this to N for new, N dash for new, and the description will be new. We'll make a few more of these. Let's do a door. So here we'll go D for door, and we'll call this door. And you can see that the text is changing on these as I change them. Let's do HB for hand basin. and so on. So that's probably enough to demonstrate this. Now what we can do, we've used these on the drawing, and let's say that we have used a few of these multiple times. So I'll just duplicate these a few times to replicate the fact that some of them, there might be 2 or 3 copies of it in the drawing. So the next thing we want to do now is to create a worksheet. And by the way, anytime you see something in the resource browser, it means it's something that can be imported into any file. So you could, once we've got this set up, you can import the keynote and the symbol and the worksheet that we'll set up into any file, and then just go from there. So in the reports menu, we're going to choose create report, and we'll call this legend, but you can call it whatever you like. And what we're going to choose here is our Keynote 1 record, and we've got prefix and description, so let's add them both in there, and we can click OK, and you can see that we've got a legend that's coming from the drawing that's listing all of the instances of the stuff that we've created. Now the good thing about this is that we'll just do a bit of customization here. I'm going to drag that in to make it just 2 columns wide, and maybe we'll just drag the bottom up. So we can change the text of things. So, you know, if you want this to be called description, you can call it whatever you like. If we need to insert a row up here to call it key partition plan, we can just right click up here and choose insert rows, and that will put a row up there, and we can click here and put in key partition plan. And now a couple of things that aren't right here. Firstly, we don't want every instance of existing to be listed. We only want to see that once. So we fix that by selecting this row that has a little diamond in it and dragging this sum icon into column A. And you'll see now that it's summarizing the columns, and we're only getting 1 instance of each. That's the first thing we can do. The next thing is the sorting. We also want to sort by column A, or you might want to sort by column B. Let's say it's column A, so we'll use this little sort icon, drag that in here, and you'll see now it's in order. Now the great thing about this, using a worksheet like this, sorry, I can drag that in there a little bit, is that it's a two-way worksheet. And what this means is that, just put that back over there, what this means is that if I want to change any of these things with the objects in the drawing, I can do it from the worksheet. So let's say I wanted to change the abbreviation for existing from E- to EX. If I just change this here, and you watch over here when I press enter, these items in the drawing are going to change automatically. Conversely, if I select these 2 items in the drawing and change them back to E-, they'll change to E-, and if I then recalculate this, file, recalculate, these things will change. So you can change the items on the drawing, or you can change the items in the worksheet. Now, once you've got this worksheet set up like this, you can obviously add lines and borders and things, and fill it if you want to. So, you know, if you wanted to have an underline under this part, we could go to Format, Cells, Border, and put a line along the bottom. Choose how thick it is. Click OK. And so now we've got that line along the bottom. Now, once you've got this set up, you probably don't want to see this formula row anymore. So we can hide the formula row by going to View and unchecking Database Headers, and that will hide that formula row. And so now you're going to see this worksheet here. It's called the legend and if we drag that onto the drawing, we're going to have, close this down, we'll have that legend sitting there nicely on the drawing. And I can then proceed and add as many of these as I like, and all I need to do is to right click on this. Let's put it up higher so you can see this. Right click on this and you'll see down the bottom here there's a recalculate, and that will just recalculate it when I've added or changed any of these on the drawing. Now, to make this really efficient, what would make sense would be to create one of these for every instance that you have and that you're ever going to need, and save them all as symbols, and then you can just drag them into the drawing, recalculate the worksheet, and that's it. That's all you have to do. So in order to do that, so for this existing one here, you would select it. Actually, I'm going to create a symbol folder to put these in. Let's just collapse these up. So new resource, and we'll go symbol folder, keynotes. Alright, so I've got this one selected. Now I'll go modify, create symbol, and we'll call this existing. And the important thing here is to check this box, convert to plugin object, and let's click OK. Then we want to put it into the keynotes, and we'll have it in there. Let's now do this for new. So select that, modify, create symbol, call this new. OK, put it in the keynotes folder. Let's do this one, hand basin, create symbol, hand basin. OK, put it in here, and door, that was the other one. Create symbol, door note. Don't call something door because there are other objects in the drawing called door, or call it door 1, or call it door space, or something that's different from just the word door. Click OK, put it in keynotes. Okay. Alright, so if we now look in this keynotes folder here, you'll see that we've got these items in here. So let's go ahead now and delete all those ones on the drawing. And if I recalculate this now, it's going to show nothing. So you can just have that sitting in your template file. So now I need to use these on the drawing. I can just go and drag them out of there like this, put them on the drawing wherever they need to go, however many I need. And then if I just come up here, right click on this and go recalculate, it's going to populate with all of the ones that I've used on the drawing. And because this is these are all resources, then you would put this worksheet, the keynote symbol, the symbol folder, and you might want to put that keynote symbol in there just to keep it all together, and the keynote, we can import all of those into a new file. So if I did open a new file like this, blank document, and probably, yep, I can select all of these, holding the shift key down, choose import. Okay. So this file now has all of these things in it. So again, if I was to use these now in a new file like this, just zoom in a bit, there they all are. Put a couple more in just so that you know. And then we put the worksheet on the drawing, drag that onto the drawing, right click, let's put it up here so you can see this, right click, recalculate. We've got all those things that we've used. So a much faster way of ultimately doing it, provided you spend that initial bit of time just creating the symbols.